Hello, my name is Kimberly Kerr, and I'm a graduate student at Grand Canyon University, pursuing a master's degree in early childhood education and early childhood special education. In this video, I'll be talking about initiatives and referendums in the Arizona State Constitution. These are powerful tools that give Arizona voters the ability to shape laws directly, making the state a strong example of direct democracy in action. Today, I'll be defining what initiatives and referendums are, explain how they're created, compare the different types, and walk you through their pros and cons, along with mentioning how they reflect Arizona's commitment to direct democracy. So without further ado, let's start with the basics. An initiative is a process that allows citizens to propose and pass new laws or constitutional amendments without needing legislator to act. A referendum allows voters to approve or reject new laws that the legislator has already passed, and it acts as a type of veto power for the people. In Arizona, both processes are protected under the state constitution and have been used frequently since statehood. And there are two types of initiatives in Arizona: constitutional and statutory. A constitutional initiative proposes a change to the Arizona state constitution. The process starts with drafting the language, collecting voter signatures, and submitting them for verification. To qualify, the petition must have signatures equal to 15% of the votes cast in the last governor's race. If the measure qualifies and voters approve it in the general election, it becomes part of the state constitution. A statutory initiative follows the same process, but requires only 10% of the governor's vote total. If passed, it becomes state law rather than a constitutional amendment. Now for referendums. Arizona recognizes three types. The first is the constitutional referendum, and this is initiated by the legislator to propose an amendment to the state constitution. It requires majority votes in both legislative chambers and goes to the voters for final approval. Second is statutory referendum by voter petition. Citizens can challenge a law that's been recently passed by the legislator, and it requires collecting signatures equal to 5% of the votes for governor. And the petition must be filed within 90 days after the legislative session ends. If enough signatures are gathered, the law is paused until voters decide it in the next election. The third type is a statutory referendum by legislative referral. So in this case, legislator voluntarily refers a proposed law to voters instead of passing it themselves. It requires a majority vote in both chambers, and the proposal is placed on the ballot. Now, let's compare and contrast these tools. Initiatives are citizen-led, while constitutional and legislative referendums are legislator-led. Constitutional initiatives and referendums make permanent changes to the Arizona Constitution, while statutory ones focus on regular state laws. Initiatives propose new laws, while referendums deal with laws that already exist or are being proposed by legislator. But the main key difference is the signature threshold. Now, for constitutional initiatives, they need 15% of voters. For statutory initiatives, 10%. And for voter-initiated referendums is 5%. And only citizen-led referendums require signatures. Legislative referrals and constitutional referendums do not. Now, let's talk about the pros and cons. So for constitutional initiatives, pros include the fact that they are permanent, they're high legal authority, and they have strong voter control. The cons are that they are hard to amend, they're expensive to qualify, and of course there's the risk of overuse. Unfortunately, abuse of power is a major possibility. Statutory initiatives, pros: easier to qualify, flexible policy making, and voter protection. Cons: it's hard to revise, there's drafting errors, and it's vulnerable to legal challenge. Constitutional referendums. The pros are clear voter input, deliberate process, and major reform possible. But the cons, it can be too politicized, it can still be hard to change, and it limits a full debate. Statutory referendum by voter petition checks legislative power, automatic suspension, and low threshold. But the cons, it's a tight 90-day window, no edits are allowed, and emergency laws cannot be blocked. Statutory referendum by legislative referral. Pros, encourages voter engagement and reduces political risk. Cons, it shifts responsibility away from lawmakers and it can cause possible confusion. But initiatives and referendums are fundamental to Arizona's commitment to direct democracy because these tools reserve ultimate power with the people, allowing voters to propose new laws and constitutional changes, as well as approve or reject laws passed by the legislator. This direct involvement ensures that the government reflects the will of its citizens. Through initiatives and referendums, Arizona citizens maintain a meaningful voice in their government, strengthening the democratic participation and accountability in the state. And I hope this video was informative. Thank you for watching, and God bless.